when a company has reached a certain stage where, let's say, we can take any startup, any recent startup which is listed, for example, where, for a couple of years they had certain investments, they took loans from banks to grow, and now they've decided that their balance sheet looks good enough for them to do an IPO. They are meeting certain eligibility requirements which have been laid down by the law, which we will deal later on, that they're ready to do an IPO. They go ahead and decide that, okay, fine, I am in a position where I can now list my securities on the stock exchanges. I need that liquidity, or I am in need of further capital, and I want to engage a larger pool of investors, and not just say very sophisticated investors or your venture capital funds or your private equity funds, which are anyway available to me. But at the same time, when you're tapping the primary markets, right, you do get a very diverse pool of investors. And that's one of the main reasons why they want to do that. So like Yedek and Harsh mentioned, an IPO is an initial public offer of specified securities by an unlisted issuer to the public at large, either through a fresh issue of specified securities or an offer for sale of securities by the existing shareholders of the unlisted issuer, or both, right? And which eventually results in the listing of these securities on the stock exchanges in a country. That is your legal definition of an IPO, which you will find in the SEBI ICDR regulations, the regulations which govern the IPOs, QIPs, and a couple of other capital raising transactions. Again, something which we will cover later on. So that's the definition of IPO. So there are two aspects to it. One is a fresh issue of securities, which basically means, so let's say if I have 100 shares right now, I need money, and I have decided that I am going to issue another 100 shares, and these other 100 shares will be available for subscription by the general public. So that is a fresh issue of securities, which basically means that the company is issuing new shares. All right. Second is where you offer the existing shares that you have. So let's say I already have 100 shares. I have some 10 shareholders holding 10 shares each. What I will do is, maybe out of the 10 shareholders, 2 shareholders decide that they want to offer their shares to the public. So they will offer a certain number of shares to the public, and that is called the offer for sale of securities, existing securities by existing shareholders, right?